Hello everyone, welcome back to the Gaming Droid and welcome back to Army Pirate Droid. So this is going to be a slightly different edited build video. So we've got a water tank here. It's a wooden water tank, and I've put a water source block running on top of it to keep it filled rather than using a pump or anything. Really easy way to keep it filled. The pipe feeds it down into the stone barrel, and I'm going to use this and some dust to make myself some very quick clay. I made myself a couple of stacks. Here I'm just going to harvest up my field nice and quickly because I've got some plans for this wheat. I'm using it to make dirt and I'm going to be using the seeds to make topiary grass. Harvest it up quickly using a scythe. Head over to the Steve's worktop and we're going to be turning all of our clay into hardened clay for the build. Steve's workshop is a great place to cook things because of course it's solar powered. So I've taken away the link between the hammers and the sieve, and I'm gathering up sand and dust at the moment. Been making some obsidian there. I found that my dirt processor wasn't processing fast enough, so I'm going to upgrade it from a basic servo to a hardened servo, and this just means it pulls items out of the chest faster and I'll be producing dirt a little bit quicker. As you can see, I've got a bit of a build-up of items in the back, and the hardened servo just allows them to pull the items out a little bit faster. So the next thing I did was take the opportunity to go out and check my two farms. The fish farm picks up some weird things like trap elements, plastic and enchanted fishing rods, and to go out and re-harvest my wheat field as well, because again, got plans for that to do with the quest in the future. The quest actually gets completed during this build video, but I didn't redeem the reward. So there's my dirt, here's some wheat. I'm going to make myself some topiary grass, because the quest requires me to get a special kind of tree, which you get by sieving topiary grass. So how do you do it? You turn the wheat into seeds, and with the 10-10-10 wheat upgrade you get a lot of wheat from the field, and it grows faster with sprinkler above it. So with the sprinkler above it you actually have increased growth rate, and we just take the topiary grass up and we're going to sieve it down to get the special trees. So set that up for sieving. I then realised when I looked in this chest that I had everything I needed in copious amounts to make myself another quest item. So I grabbed everything up and I'm going to make myself an angry doll. As you can see, 4 blaze powder, 2 glowstone dust, 1 redstone, a porcelain doll and a bit of netherwort, which had all been produced in previous episodes, and I can make myself an angry doll which will let me summon a blaze whenever I want to blaze, or at least allow me to summon a blaze. But that's another quest complete and I'll pick the items up later. So I put aside the angry doll and I move on. I make some more clay. So I get some clay together, some hardened clay. I'm going to stain it up to be different colours because I was originally planning to use stained clay for the build. And once the clay is stained up, as you can see, I've got a couple of different colours mixed from either the flowers or also from red flower dye and blue lapis. So I've got some light blue from the flowers, some magenta from the flowers, and some purple made from red flower dye and lapis. And then I'm going to move on, and I'm going to move on to start the build. So what this is this is going to be a dragon build. I've had a couple of people ask me to build a dragon, and I had no idea how to build a dragon or what to do with the dragon. And my partner calls himself Dragon, so I thought, why not? You know, I'm going to build a dragon. And what I needed was I needed to expand so that I had space to place islands, because I've got islands around most of my ship. So I needed basically a bridge. And I decided that the dragon would be my bridge. So I needed the dragon attached to the ship. Back of the ship was the easiest place to attach it because it was sort of the open area of the ship. So I thought, how would a dragon attach itself to the ship? I thought of having it land with its claws in the ship, or having it kind of like have its wing touching the ship, but these didn't really make sense for it to stick around, and I'm trying to make a kind of storyline up as I go along. So what I've decided is a sky dragon has come along and it's tried to take a bite out of my ship, and it's just going to continue flying along behind me, gnawing on the back of my ship. So I built a little set of teeth out of microblocks, and I've had it bite the back of my ship, and this is going to be its connection into the ship. So there are the teeth, and now I start thinking about using pink and purple stained clay for different parts of the dragon. And you'll see how like purple, light blue, pink stained clay, and this is just stupidity. I put pink stained clay on the ground as gums, bearing in mind the dragon's biting the ship. So just have a think about that for a second and realise how stupid I am, in that the gums are now further away from the dragon than they are from the ship. Oh, I'm stupid. I do correct this in a couple of seconds when I realise my mistake. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to speed this up and I'm going to show you the build at slightly increased speed. I did have a few people commenting that the build was going a little bit too fast and they were getting a little bit of motion sickness from the motion blur. So I'm going to actually be speeding it up, but not quite as much. The build's going to be quite long. It was a very long build anyway, because building a dragon's not like building a little island or building a castle. I didn't really have a plan to work off. Like with the castle, I used a pre-made plan, which basically explained how to build a decent looking castle. With this, I just made it up as I went along. I certainly wouldn't call it a decent looking dragon at the end. It's a rather derpy looking dragon at the end, but it's my derpy looking dragon, and I quite like my derpy looking dragon. So this is where I realised that I put the gums in the wrong place. So I dismantled it all down, and let's speed this up a little bit and we'll move on, and I will show you where we go from here. So all of this has been done in survival mode, and sometimes you'll see me kind of hesitate or pause. That's because I'm desperately afraid of falling off. Also, you'll see some cuts where like fresh materials appear in my backpack. That's simply because I've gone off and collected them. I don't want to basically have me spend half an hour in a sped up episode just collecting stone, changing the colour of stone on a workbench that you've seen me do already, and on top of that also just going and killing monsters, because periodically I go and kill off all the monsters and mine my, or sort of harvest my wheat field and check all of my sort of ore generation machines and check everything that's going on. And I don't really see any point in doing that live on camera because it's just going to get boring for you guys. So this looks derpy and terribly derpy, and it gets more derpy the more I do to it, but it is actually going to get edited at the end. I look at it and it's still derpy, and in fact I kind of embrace the derp and actually give it slightly wonky eyes on purpose, but it just this just looks a little bit derpy to start with. I'm using the microblocks, which is the saw. That's a mod that allows you to cut blocks down into smaller sizes. It works with an awful lot of blocks. They become decorative, so that if you cut down a working thing like a chest or a workbench, if you've got a version of the mod that allows you to, it won't still work. But it is very flexible when it comes to shaping things and making things the right size and shape. There is a slight limitation in where you can place things, but it's actually surprisingly flexible. So I'm just kind of popping down here to have a look what it looks like when I approach, and I'm starting to get kind of worried about how terrible it looks, but I've started so I might as well finish, kind of thing. And I just set up building the rest of the dragon's head. You have to be careful building on skyblocks that you're not producing large spawn areas where things are going to spawn in, but I'm quite careful with placing down torches after I've had a couple of disasters on the previous build episodes where I've had monsters just swarm in while I've not been paying attention. So I've got F7 active so that I can see the monsters. I just went and made myself a couple of item frames, very easy to make, sticks and leather, a ring of sticks around a single piece of leather, and this allows me to put little blocks in. This is a common trick for making eyes on large builds. So there's my very derpy dragon. Down here inside you can see I've put a lower jaw on, and I've added teeth coming through the captain's quarters, which I think is a nice little touch. I've got teeth coming in through the captain's quarters and kind of like right on top of my bed. Whew, scary. So this is a random bit of Thorncraft just added in. I made myself some grass files. I was thinking of maybe using them in item frames as nostrils, and I changed my mind, and you can see that I've changed my mind because I go and stick them in my Thorncraft chest. It's just, I randomly made some glass files because I was thinking about what I could use for different appearance areas, and I remembered the glass files from Thorncraft and thought, oh, these might look, and then I made them and thought, nope, not going to do that. Making myself some purple stone here. So to make purple stone in this mod pack, we use the paintbrush mod, which is a paintbrush that you add into the stone crafting recipe from extra utilities, and then you add in some dye, and you can actually dye any of the base dye colours. So purple, light blue, blue, green, lime, yellow, black, all the base colours can be stone, stone brick, small stone brick, and small bricks. So you can dye pretty much anything. It doesn't support stairwells or staircases, but it does allow you to make the basic form. So I've started on the dragon's head, and you'll see that I'm starting at the top because it means that I can basically add lights. But once you get to a certain point, you can't be on top anymore. You have to build the underneath. And when you're doing a sky block, you can go into creative mode and fly, or if you're very lucky, you can have a backpack and fly. But it's still quite difficult to do the underneath. So I'm going to do the trick that you've seen me use before, and I'm just going to use some disposable wood because I do have a wood farm that's producing me plenty of wood. I've got about 7 stacks of logs. I'm going to use the builder's wand just to quickly pop out a under platform, and then I'll use the under platform as a base for me to build off. Once I'm done with the under platform, I'll cut it away and it'll disappear, and I'll have my dragon flying in midair. When I normally do a skyblock, I normally have a big flat platform, so I don't have to really worry, but I also have an underblock so that in case I ever accidentally cut through my own platform or fall off, there's something to catch me. So usually what I do is I have my upper block where I live and work, and then I have an underblock which reaches out 2 blocks on either side, or on all 4 sides of my big platform. That way the underblock is lit up, it doesn't actually do much. I sometimes put a bit of machinery down there, but it's mainly there just to catch me if I accidentally cut through my platform or fall off the edge. I don't have that luxury here because I'm trying to build a slightly prettied world. And because I'm trying to build a slightly prettied world, I don't have the under platform, I don't have the safety or the support, so I get a little bit nervous and sometimes play things a little bit overly safe with how I move about. The map mod that's included in the game has a teleport function, and I do occasionally, if I'm moving from one place to another, even though there's not much risk because I've set myself up platforms and things, I will occasionally teleport. I never teleport when there's monsters around because to me that would be cheating, but if it's just me walking from one place to another, I sometimes will teleport myself if I basically can't be bothered walking. I'm going to make the dragon hollow because a little bit of more interior space will never go to waste when you're on a skyblock. You're always looking for space to place things somewhere. So I'm going to have a little bit of an interior space inside my dragon. So I'm going to have a magical hollow sky dragon, a bit like Jonah's whale, and the sky dragon will become part of my crew, I suppose. She'll be the large dragon member of my crew. So a few, again, nerve-wracking drops, a little bit of health loss, and a little bit of food to eat to make sure I keep my health high. But I'm just making sure the under platform's in the right place and built out properly. And then I build the underneath of the head. I build the lower jaw, because of course at the moment I've just got a tongue and teeth. And while a tongue and teeth is a perfectly pleasant combination, I'm kind of eager not to have a dragon with a missing lower jaw, because it doesn't look wonderful. So again, back to the purple stone and just throwing on some purple stone blocks to make the underside of the jaw. It doesn't matter if it's square, because to be honest, like, I was going for a bit of an Ender Dragon theme, and all the creatures in Minecraft are squared off, so just because it's a large dragon doesn't mean it can't be a square dragon. And conveniently enough, that makes it easier to build. It's not like I planned it that way or anything. Oh, I'm terribly bad when it comes to designing things. I think the head is the hardest part to design. I think the rest of the body and things, the design goes okay. A little bit squarey, but that doesn't matter so much. I think the sort of tapering and the curl of the tail is quite nice. But the head is always going to be a challenge to do on any creature, and on a dragon especially so. But my builder's wand does make it a little bit easier to build out and up as well. So the reason I'm doing this is so that I can pop in a ladder to move up to the upper floor, so that I can move between the top of the dragon and the bottom of the dragon more easily. Moving from the top to the bottom of the dragon makes it a lot easier to set up the different bits and pieces that you need to set up and to make sure that everything's lit. So I just wanted a little easy way to move up and down. Another crafting bench goes down because with me there's always crafting benches everywhere I go. I just enjoy putting crafting benches down everywhere. Make sure everything's lit up, of course. Extra torches, all the torches. and then we just build out. The next thing I do is I set to work on building the body, both the top and the underside of the body, and once I've set up the build for the body, I then move on to building the wings. I think the wings came out the nicest of everything on this build. You'll have to sort of like have a look for yourself in a few minutes and tell me what you think of the wings. But I think of all the things that this build had, I think the wings came out by far as one of the nice elements. Expanding the under platform for safety, just in case I fall off while I'm building, and to give me a little bit of kind of scaffolding to work off. And just carrying on. The Builder's Wand makes this nice and easy. For those of you who are new to the Builder's Wand and have managed to watch this far into the video, a couple of tips. If you hold shift, it will do a horizontal. If you hold control, it will do a vertical. And it will only do the horizontal and vertical, it won't search for other areas. If you hold shift and control simultaneously, it will go back to the original mode. So if you're holding shift but you want it to be in the original mode because you're sneak walking, then all you have to do is hold control as well. If you're holding control because you're running and you want it to do everything without doing a horizontal vertical line, then all you have to do is hold shift as well, or tap shift when you click, and it will go back to its original mode. So I build out the body here. I want to make it thicker than the neck, and I want to give it like shoulders to bring the wings off. As always, the Builder's Wand is a great resource. It uses up materials from your inventory unless you have the creative version, but that's fine. I don't mind it using materials from my inventory. Otherwise it would be cheating. But it does make it very easy to plant rapid recreations of the same shape over and over and over again, which is something you do have to do for most builds. There's often kind of like, for instance, if you're building a house, you put down the base of the first floor, and then all the walls for the first floor are going to be pretty much the same apart from holes you cut for windows. So if you put down the base of the first floor and then just sort of whack all the windows in really quickly, for some reason there's an extra tooth there, and I'm not quite sure why. I do take out one of the teeth and I cut out part of the wall because I need an entryway, and the entryway is going to be me climbing in through the dragon's mouth because Jonah's whale. I tidy it up, I make it a little bit neater later on, and I do add some pink blocks so that you can't see back into the dragon, so it looks like it's the inside of the dragon's mouth. But for now, I just wanted an easy way in and out of the dragon. You can see I've built a stepped expansion going down, and then I'm going to build out. I'm going to build the sort of main body of the dragon, and then I'm going to build the curled tail at the back. It's a lot of work with the Builder's Wand, a lot of going and collecting stone, turning it purple. The under platform's now kind of reached its limit because I'm starting to build touching it, which means I won't be able to get rid of it anymore because I won't be able to see it with my tools. So I decide this is the point where I want to be taking away the under platform, and I just get to work cutting away and chopping away at the under platform. It's not massively exciting, so I'll probably skip this bit. So we're back up on top of the dragon and we're starting to build out the wings. I've built it too wide because I wanted a nice thick wing start, and then I wanted to go with the sort of traditional dragon wings which curve forwards and then back, very much like bat wings. So planned it out in my head, didn't do any test builds, just went straight for it. This is my way of building, and one of the reasons I'm not a very good designer is I find it difficult to plan things out in my head and find it difficult to rebuild things over and over again. So I just tend to build things the once, and they tend to look quite bad. I'll say that. I'm not a skilled craftsman or a skilled artist when it comes to making things, which is why I tend to go for basic flat platforms and big square buildings when I play normally. But this is a challenge to make things look good, so I do my best to make it look reasonably artistic at least, using the mini-map as well as part of the guide for sort of like what it looks like from above. It'll be really nice when I get later down the tech trees and I have access to one or more flight forms, because once I have access to a couple of forms of flight, or to a decent form of flight, it'll be really interesting to actually take a flight around my islands and have a look at what the different islands are looking like and what they're providing, and how the whole sky world looks when I have a little bit of flight to go around it. Someone else has also mentioned that they want me to have some crew, some little robots. Thaumcraft allows you to get golems, little mechanical golems or little magical golems. So I'm going to be making myself some golems to act as crew members for my ship. I can't have actual NPCs because even though the custom NPC mod is installed, there's no way to get hold of a NPC wand, which is what you use to create NPCs, without cheating. And so I won't be able to make myself a crew. I can't put myself some villagers on the ship, but they'll more be sort of passengers than crew, because I won't be able to have them looking like crew members or doing anything specific. They'll just kind of be sat around inside some fencing. Speaking of which, I did manage to catch some pigs and cows using some disposable safari nets. So I've got some pigs and cows in fences underground. So just finishing off the wing, the recording cut out, so I restarted it, so a little bit of a cut in the video there. But just finishing off the wing, and then I'll use I use cut down clay. I use panelled clay to make the skin membrane between the wings. And I do it in white, so there's my white clay. I'm just going to cut it down into panels, and that will be used to make the membrane between the wings. And again, this is just going to be repetition of this. It's a reasonably nice design. Oh, there, I forgot to turn F7 on at that point. F7 was off, and so I was like, oh wait, I'm not putting torches on anything and it's getting dark. I better check where things can spawn in the dark. It's a good thing I checked, because otherwise I would have been overrun with monsters very quickly, thanks to the nightmare of yellow that was surrounding me. And although monsters don't spawn right next to you, the edge of the wing was far enough away that if I'd been on the main body of the dragon, things would have spawned away from me. Now the one problem with microblocks is they don't work with the builder's wand, so I can't use the builder's wand for this. But instead I'm just going to be placing them by hand and filling out the wings. So what I'll do is I'll skip forwards and I'll see you in a couple of minutes. So I've done the tail and I've done both wings. The footage of me doing the tail wasn't particularly good. It's basically just a 3x3 and then another 3x3 and then a 2x2 and a 2x2 and a 2x2, all just linked together into a slight slow curve. You can see it on the mini-map. I've also added some spines, which are microblocks, just the microblock posts and pillars that have been sort of layered together to make the spines at the back. You can see them there just for a brief second. The footage wasn't great, it wasn't massively interesting, it's just me putting microblocks down. I looked at the face and I thought the colour was wrong and it looked very derpy, so I decided to cut down the face and try again, at least replacing the face with the right colour. It still looks derpy once I'm finished, but I think I improve it a little bit. I do some nice work with some microblocks to shape it into a slightly nicer shape, but it still looks derpy, and I kind of embrace the dirt by giving it some extra derpy eyes in a little bit. But as you can see, I'm just going to cut down some stone into slabs, and these are microblock slabs, which means I can place them either vertically or horizontally, unlike normal slabs. And this gives me my base shape for my dragon's mouth. And then I'm going to use the posts, which are slabs cut in half the other direction, and they're going to go for the edge lips. And I wanted, like, I originally had like just the top edge around, but I decided that on the sides I would also add the bottom edge, so it's like the lips are touching the ship. It also means that it looks very much like the sort of dragon's baring its front teeth as it's trying to grab hold of the ship. Something that I thought was quite interesting and nice looking. A couple of torches just to make sure I don't get any monster spawns. I'll be very happy when I can replace my torches with something that's a little bit more sort of theme specific. Now I cut the posts down into corners, which are basically posts cut in half horizontally, and these allow you to just pop them down like that, and it lets you give a little bit more of a shape to it. I decided that I didn't want the lips to come out all the way like that, so I'm going to just curve them in slightly, like so. After that, it was like the eyes looked a little bit odd, so I was thinking of what to put for eyes. I still wanted to use the item frames because they were probably the best way to do it. I could have used microblocks, but it would have looked very, very cross-eyed, and the eyes would have stuck out a little bit. So I grabbed some coal, thinking maybe to cut some coal down into microblocks, and I grabbed some normal coal, maybe to use in the item frames. So I was just kind of thinking about different things and grabbing different things to give a go. I popped out the two seared stone bricks, replaced them with coal. Then I realised that coal was the wrong direction, and I had to think, and I thought, actually, you know, if it's going to look derpy, it might as well look full derp, and I made it cross-eyed. It looked a little bit weird, and I personally thought the reason it looked weird was because it had no nostrils. So I cut down the stone bricks, the seared stone bricks, and I put in some nostrils using a combination of cut down seared stone bricks and, I should say seared stone brick corners and purple stone corners. So I just pop the corners in and then give it a little corner on top just to give it nostrils. And there is the Dirt Dragon. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.